Good morning. It's so good to be back. I can't guarantee from week to week that I'll be here. However, I've gone through my first chemo infusion, and truthfully, I feel fine. I'm walking, doing at least 1.5 miles and up, and I can say, I think at this point, I'm going to be around for the long haul. Were there trials and tribulations? Was there pain and suffering? Yes, there was. But hey, whatever it is, as you've come to rely on me, I've come to rely on you. And knowing that you're out there makes all the difference in the world for me. I've had so much support, and I am grateful. So let's talk about what are our issues that really affect us. There are a lot of positives on the horizon. There are Pacific Corps and others who are going to be testing out the latest in GE technology, and I think it's also in conjunction with a Japanese firm, and they're going to do nuclear power with natrium. It's a salt. It's a hot salt, and that will be one of the things that we need to power our new clean electric grid. I've been looking at thorium, which is a fourth generation isotope, natural, and degrades in 20 years. But natrium, or whatever they come out with for nuclear energy, that's easy to install, no side effects to the environment or to people. It's a win-win to hook up to the grid. And that's the piece that we need. Let's face it, folks. Wind and solar are not enough. Even hydroponics is not enough. We need to be able to conserve our land and our resources and water. And we got to stop all the drilling and mining for fossil fuels. It's just be creating a negative feedback loop. We can't afford it in today's world. It's too expensive to have more hurricanes and less energy and less power because corporate responsibility seems to be waning. And they're not keeping up with the maintenance that they've got to do. And so look what happened to the poor folks in New Orleans. Not right. When you say you're going to do the upgrades and you bill people for the upgrades, by golly, you're accountable for those upgrades and for the lives that you've put at risk. That's Entergy. In California, they've got PG&E, and they're responsible for lots of the fires. That's not right either. It's bad enough just dealing with the climate extremes and with all the pollution. We don't need the corporations to not upgrade their plants and be part of the problem instead of the solution. Which brings me to states and states' rights. I was kind of appalled this week to read that Alabama is repurposing their COVID relief money They're not giving it to schools to upgrade their HVAC systems. They're not giving it to the healthcare system that's overburdened. They're not giving it to anyone who would benefit from that COVID relief. Instead, the governor is repurposing the money to prisons. Just what we need. More warehousing of people. Here in New York State, I was really proud to learn that we passed the Less is More bill. I don't know if you remember, but I worked hard on that bill. It gives parolees a chance to make good with their lives. It cuts down the recidivism because it puts good points on the side of the parolees and less discretion on the side of the parole officer. And we're also considering no bail for jails. And that would be a boon to the poor populations of New York. Right now, African American kids are rounded up for no reason other than they're in the neighborhood, or they weren't even the neighborhood that committed the crime, but they're accessible and they can be put in jail and not be able to make bail. We're warehousing them in Rikers, and that's not right. So we're going to reverse that and take away the bail system. And I think that's a good idea because rehabilitation of people is really what we want to do. We don't need to warehouse folks needlessly, waiting for a judgment that is years to come, while kids languish in jail. Luckily, there are facilities like the Wildcat Academy, an incredible institution that takes kids who have not finished high school, gives them a trade, gives them high school, so they work 1 week and they go to school 1 week, and many of them go on to college. Or by the time they finish high school, they've got a trade, whether it's being a chef or it's being a mechanic or something else. But that is preservation of life. That's caring about people. Wish I could say that about all the 50 states. I really can't. I'm reading that Tennessee is banning books. I keep wondering, what's next? Will it be like Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury? Will they start burning books also that they think are not good for young people to read? Young people are more savvy, I think, than their parents. They're rebelling. And it's not just in Tennessee. It's also in rural towns in Pennsylvania, where they're banning books. Books about Martin Luther King, about our history, about our Native American population, seahorses. I mean, there's no bounds to what could affect somebody's mind. Not the kids, but the adults who are controlling the bans. And that's just 2 states. I know in 10 states, and I've forgotten which ones they are, they're not teaching science. Why? They prefer creationism. Well, that's all well and good, but America wants to be a beacon of light unto nations. And to do that, we have to maintain our competitive advantage. The federal bills, Yeah, I'm frustrated. I'd like to see them passed because I know it's the stimulus the country needs. And it's the cash poor people and middle class people need to pay for child care so they can go to work, and to pay for transportation and give them a decent leg up in society. It's about time. Many years ago, Aaron Copland wrote The Fanfare for the Common Man. Well, when this huge $3.5 trillion package passes, it will indeed be the heralding in of a new era for the lower and middle class. There'll be jobs and there'll be retraining. So I'm not concentrating on the negatives. I'm not concentrating on what I hope or could be or should be. I'm telling you the facts. Oh, and there's one last one. Merck is coming out with an antiviral pill that they believe in trials that has actually solved the problem of intense hospitalization. You take the pill, I guess, several times a day. I don't know the duration, but it will be a help to everyone who is not vaccinated at this time, and people who are getting sick with COVID even after they've been vaccinated. It makes sure nobody becomes really ill and needs a ventilator. That's another win-win. Remember, we're tired of the pandemic, but in terms of what's happening in science, it's rapid. Just like the rapid tests that I have been advocating for since, I guess, a year ago, June, when Michael Mina brought it to my attention. I think its time is past, long past, and it should be implemented as a health measure by executive order by President Biden. This is another tool in our arsenal to contain COVID. It's the right thing to do. It's an antigen test. It works within 15 minutes. It costs maybe $1 a day. In Germany and Great Britain, they're using it on their population. The whole packet is given to them for free. My gut feeling is if folks used it for 3 months and probably used it, say, twice a week, we'd stop those outbreaks, because you'd know within 15 minutes whether or not you have the beginnings of a COVID infection. So they're all pluses, and a lot of these pluses are on the side of science, because science really is up first. It's up first with nuclear power. It's up first with our combating COVID. It's up first in everything that we do. Being a scientist, as far as I'm concerned, has no higher calling than it does today, except for perhaps engineering, computer science, all the technologies. So I only have hope. I know I'm going to be here for the long term. You might not see me week to week. I go for my second chemo infusion next week. But let's see what happens. As long as I have life and breath, and I can feel that, yes, I really miss connecting with you, and I do. I'm here, folks. So have a blessed day, and I think of everyone. Maybe some of you will think of me too. God bless you all, and have a lovely day. Thank you.